You are listening to It Had to Be Said with Venus, presented by Realm of the Mist Entertainment.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to It Had to Be Said with Venus tonight. Tonight we've got my co-host, as always, Christopher Stolley.
Oh my God, my ball hairs hurt today.
I feel your pain. No kidding.
You would. I guess being pregnant's like walking 4 flights of stairs in a brownstone.
Oh my God, just walking like a block is like killing me. If I cough, I'm gonna pee type of deal.
For people who don't understand, I build and custom create closets and cabinetures for people's homes, and that requires a lot of material, which is very heavy material that you carry in and out. I was working in an old Philadelphia brownstone, which has 4 levels to it. And the work I was doing was on the 4th freaking floor. So I had to carry about a pallet's worth or 250 pounds worth of wood up to these closets, not including all the tools and everything else needed. I'm exhausted.
Damn.
No doubt. We've got also with us tonight, JD Doyle returning.
What up, Venus? What up, Chris?
What's up?
And we've got another guest host tonight joining us, who I'm like so honored to actually have on the show. Miss Elle from Ellie's Place. How you doing?
Not bad. How are you doing?
Good. I actually just got my dinner, so I'm like just fucking beaming.
I'm glad this wasn't video because I got a face for radio.
Mom always told me I had a face for radio too. So.
So tonight we're talking about Canadian politics. Alberta elections are just about done in the next 2 hours. What do you guys think about that? I think right now UCP is like in a major lead. Give me 1 second here. Oh shit. Do you have any buttons on my phone? I got a cracked screen, so this is just glory.
Yeah, phone should definitely come with those those spring cords, like when you throw them, they just come right back to you.
They used to.
Well,
they were called like the phone cord itself, and it was connected to the base of the phone, which was usually tied up to the side of the wall.
Yeah, maybe that's where I got that idea from.
I'm an old ass man. I remember that shit. I remember rotary phones.
Oh, wow,
yeah. So our poll averages update at 1:58 a.m. this morning. UCP is up to 48.3%. NDP is 37.9%. AP, which is Alberta, is 9%. OTH is 2.6%, and Liberal is 2.3%. So I guess we can take a wild guess at who's going to win this election.
It won't be Liberals.
No, actually, Liberals weren't even on my voting card.
They shouldn't be. They should be all locked up.
I agree.
Can I import that down to the United States, please? That mindset. All liberals locked up.
Oh, yeah, I agree. The Democrats are bad there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sure.
That's the thing. I keep using the term liberal because Democrats, the way Democrats used to be in the United States was, even if they didn't agree with you, they defended your right to say or believe what you say or believe. Now it's either you agree with me or you're a racist, a misogynist, a sexist, a blah, 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 buzzword. That's why I separate a Democrat from a liberal, because a Democrat at least would want to have a debate.
Yeah.
See, that's like what it is in Canada. Like, your Democrats are liberals, but our liberals are just like like gun-ho on their opinions.
They're all Quislings.
They hurt my brain.
If you don't know a Quisling is a traitor.
Oh, yeah, big time.
If you look up Vidkun Quisling, he was from the Second World War, and he betrayed, I think it was Bulgaria, and they killed him. The people killed him. So
Maybe
Quisling has
several.
always been associated with the word traitor.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, all the liberals in Canada, the whole Liberal Party is a bunch of Quislings.
Yep, they definitely are.
Well, let's see here in the United States, we would call them Benedict Arnolds, or more specifically, Hillary Clintons and Obamas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, we don't have to worry about them being in power in Alberta, so maybe that trend will follow the rest of Canada.
Anywhere else, I think they're going to be totally wiped out this election.
Well, wait a minute. If Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton ever got into office, like really got into office, you don't think the first thing they would do is annex Canada?
Oh yeah,
They would want to, but
they try to take Canada over probably.
They
Hillary
want-
Clinton,
Trudeau would give it to them. That's why we need him out.
yeah, all the
Canada would be a rich source of oil.
oil,
It is.
natural
I'm so
resources.
surprised. I'm surprised, like, America hasn't done anything yet. Like, America could just take over Alberta, and Alberta would probably be happy with that.
I'll tell you what,
If
the
this
United
election
States.
doesn't turn out good.
I would not be surprised if the United States government hasn't attempted to politically and diplomatically try to bring Canada as provinces into the United States fold and just make all of North America the United States of America. I think
That'd be
Canada
a
likes.
powerhouse country.
I think Canada likes being their own independent country.
Oh, for sure.
So.
Well, we look at like everyone else. We have like dictating what we do in Canada now. We don't have that independence anymore.
Well, look, most Americans, most normal-minded Americans, we don't want your oil. We don't want your natural resources. We just want to be able to travel to Alaska without having to have a passport.
Alaska belongs to the states.
Yeah, I know,
Mhm.
but we have to go through Canada to get there.
We can go by boat. You can always take a ferry.
True.
The scenery's nice. There's good-looking women. There's beer that isn't made of mostly 99% water. We're good up here. Come on.
And corn syrup. No, I'm not saying.
Maple syrup?
I'm not saying that we're opposed to traveling through Canada. We're opposed to having to get a passport and go through customs and shit to do so.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, we got to make money somehow.
That's
Exactly,
true.
with all the oil fields shut down and everything. But I'm guessing after tonight, that's all going to change. Because
Oh, yeah.
the UCP and Jason Kenney, they're gun-ho on the pipeline. They're pro-Alberta, pro-pipeline. They're even making a stink to BC now. Because BC is pro-coal. And they want to shut down all the pipelines. And they're protesting it and everything. So there's actually an order that was made by the NDP and Rachel Notley that at any point they can stop production going to BC.
Now
So that's something that's supposed to happen. Like tonight.
maybe I'm kind of an idiot here because again, I'm from. If I haven't made it abundantly clear in the last 10 minutes, I'm from the United States. So I don't really know Canadian politics all that well. However, I do know liberals, and
You're getting a crash course tonight.
and with liberal agendas, when they push towards and I hate using this phrase, but the Green New Deal. How are they so pro coal up there? I mean, coal is pollution.
It very much is so. But Rachel Notley and the NDP, they're not quite liberal.
They're
I don't even
communist
know how.
socialists.
Actually, yeah, they're democratic socialists. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they have posted on their Wikipedia page. So,
I don't care
Yeah.
what adjective you put in front of it. A socialist is a communist, and communist society has never and will never work.
Got that right.
but just what is socialism? Actually, okay, I've got to
A really bad idea that looked
Vertical.
great on paper one time.
So I actually saw this one article, and it had me laughing because it put a whole new perspective into democratic socialism, and it was democratic Nazism. And it made me giggle because it's well, we're going to be democratic Nazis, so you can decide how much Nazi we're going to be, whether we're going to be 9,000 times Nazi or 2 times Nazi. It's up to you, and you get to decide. And then the next question was, well, how do you get to decide? And what if they decide to vote that out? And they're like, no, you can't vote it out. You have it, you get it, There's nothing you can do about it, but how Nazi we are is up to you. And I'm like, well, shit, that's a whole different perspective on socialism. And it just made me laugh because when it came to Nazism, everyone's offended by that. Like, white people don't even like Nazis. And I'm like, you know what?
But you know what's hilarious about that is that's probably the most honest form of socialism is Nazism, because what was the Nazis? They were a democratic socialist movement. Especially down here in the United States, they try to coin conservatives as Nazis. But it was radical, democratic socialists, the workers' union, that created the Nazis. It wasn't even really Adolf Hitler. He just adopted the idea platform. This was a democratic movement towards socialism in Germany.
You know what? There's quite a few differences in between Hitler and Notley, Rachel Notley of the NDP party in Alberta. One thing, I'm not giving Hitler very much props here because he was a wee bit of a dick.
Oh, I'm not.
For many reasons.
I'm not either.
But at least he made money. Rachel Notley is pissing money away. Hardcore.
Rachel Notley, yeah. The unemployment rate has gone up 20% in the past 4 years. Last year alone, the bankruptcy rate went up 9%. This is what we have under NDP. And democratic socialism. They borrowed money from South Africa or North Africa, somewhere in Africa anyways, because with all these equalization payments and everything, and there's no money being made here, when literally we have to dig a hole, and it's right there. We're actually borrowing it, and Canada's giving a bunch of money to Africa and then borrowing money back at this high interest rate.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know the difference between Notley and Hitler? Hitler had more than one living brain cell. Actually, he was a good talker. He knew how to con people, okay? Whately couldn't con her way out of a wet paper bag, but Hitler had a way of talking to people, making them believe in him. That was the big difference.
Well, one of the reasons that Hitler had such a devoted following was because for all his failings, and there were numerous amounts of failings, well, one thing that Hitler was very adamant and firm on, which is different than most quote-unquote socialists of the modern era, even though the Nazis are arguably the worst socialist movement that has ever existed, probably rivaled only by the USSR, would be the fact that Hitler actually believed he was bettering and was trying to better the German people.
Rachel Notley's platform has all just been Jason Kenney this, Jason Kenney that, blah, blah, Jason Kenney. Jason Kenney said this. And you know what? Like, you have a platform. Like, you got to talk in front of, like, the whole province. And, talk about your strong points. What are you going to do for everyone? But it's all just Jason Kenney's bad. Over and over and over. It's like, wow. Like, can you fall any more low? Right?
Well,
that's exactly what Trudeau does too.
See,
yeah,
Hitler,
like you could say that they're bad, but how much better are you going to be? Because you're not giving anyone anything, and that's exactly what you're going to give.
See, Hitler is a perfect example of not only the fact that socialism does not work, it always becomes a totalitarian. I always struggle with that word.
Totalitarian.
Yeah, thank you. Regime. And it breaks down to a very old cliche, but it's a very true cliche, is power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
It's true.
You can't break these laws. These are universal laws. That's the way it is. And all socialism is taking control of everything and putting it in the hands of people who don't give a fuck about the common people to begin with.
Well, that's the NDP here. In other provinces, I could see an NDP working out really well as a premier. But, and again, it depends on the province, and it depends on who's actually in the position of power, who's standing there on the podiums. Because you get another Rachel Notley, we don't need that. But then again, we get a Jack Layton, who was a great NDP representative, and we would have had a powerhouse place. The NDP's completely slipped since he's passed away. I found that kind of fishy that he died right when he was on top too.
Yeah. I actually mentioned him yesterday. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a buddy named Fitz the Whip Vanderpool. He was World Boxing Association champion, like the welterweight champion. Same belt Muhammad Ali won. He won it in welterweight, and he's running for NDP in Ontario in Waterloo. This guy runs a boxing gym and basically helps underprivileged kids and stuff, and basically imparts knowledge and wisdom to them. Just hitting it out of the ballpark for the kids. And I'd like to see a leader like that go into politics and actually win. I'd like to see someone who's actually taken part, invested most of his life on the rise, and then helping the community afterwards for decades. He's the oldest Canadian champion too, oldest welterweight Canadian champion. He just won it like 2 years ago at like the age of, I think, 46 or something. He's basically like a George Foreman. There are, like you were saying, Venus, it all depends on the politician and the province. Like, Alberta's been spoiled with oil money for a long time, and Alberta was knocking it out of the park too. They were kicking ass, and then they get this fall down ass clown, this crack scarecrow like Rachel Notley.
Yeah, you must have been living here when everyone got that $400 payout just for being an Alberta citizen, eh?
I don't know if I got that actually. Those bastards.
I didn't get that. Oh wait, I live in Ontario.
You know what?
I know Ontario. We're always suffering in Ontario. Like, I used to live there too. Like, I've lived there my entire life up until like September, and there's honestly, like, it was never anything like that you could be happy about or anything. It's always like, well, we're gonna raise the welfare amount by $2, but we're also raising your rent by 2%, and it's like, well, that doesn't even equal. It doesn't even add up, because 2% on $600 rent still comes out to like what, $12, and you're giving me $2. So I'm not winning, and it's never been winning. And Canada relies a lot on Alberta oil and stuff, and without that, I mean, these equalization payments and the free pony Kathleen Wynne-Wynn's promising people for the Ontario elections, how the fuck are you going to afford that? You can't afford that when you're shutting down corporations that are funding this. And that's what Rachel Notley has done. Well, so it's really she's not really not impressive at all.
Well, I have a question here, and I will say this in advance to anybody, not only listening, but on this panel. If anything I say comes off as offensive, it is not meant to be in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, it is.
No. When I want to be offensive, that's when I'm on one of my shows. It had to be said with Venus. I usually try not to be offensive. But the question I have, obviously, the Democratic parties of both of our countries kind of borderline on the same thing, and the biggest thing, my question is like the supporters. Like, here in the United States, some of the biggest supporters of the Democratic Party are minorities, transgenders, gay, lesbian, so on and so forth, and now Muslims. And it seems like it's completely contradictory to a lot of the communities that are supporting the Democratic parties. It's contradictory for them to support such ideals, like, the LGBTQ blah 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 XYZ again, don't mean to be offensive, but like,
I'm not part of them.
Muslim belief systems Islam's belief system is to kill anybody who is like that, but to be progressive, you've got to support this. That it makes no sense to me. Why do the people of color, particularly black people, vote for people who purposely keep them in the ghetto and addicted to government assistance, welfare?
That's socialism.
I really don't get this. I mean, it's not a question of intelligence, because I know these people are smart. I imagine they're smart. They can't all be dumbasses. They're smart. They've got to be able to figure out we've been oppressed by these people for so many years they offer false promises. Like the question I'm asking everybody at the panel here is like, what is the magic trick that the Democrats are able to pull besides just shaking shiny keys in front of their faces,
It's a pity party.
to really ensnare and entrap these people. And don't just tell me free shit, because they never follow through with free shit. So, I mean, is it literally like, well, maybe they'll mean it this time? Yeah.
No, I think what it is like, because they have the working people, right? And the working class, well, they fund, like, let's be honest, they fund a lot of these programs and everything. Like free healthcare, I don't even have healthcare right now. I just had to pay for a doctor's appointment. Well, I'm getting billed for a doctor's appointment. And I'm a Canadian-born citizen living in Alberta. But because I missed one document when I sent in my health card stuff, it took them 3 months to mail it back. And anyways, it's a bunch of bullshit. But what they're making it look like is that, well, the working class, they have all these pretty nice shiny things. And you know what? You deserve that too. So we're going to take it from them and we're going to give it to you because they're not better than you are. And you deserve just as much as they do.
Boom. Nailed it.
Which is fine, like welfare systems and healthcare and stuff. That's there. Like,
but common sense doesn't dictate that the working class busted their ass to earn that shiny, whatever little shiny it is.
No, absolutely not.
Sorry,
that's the way it seems. Oh, go ahead.
Thanks. I'm all good for. I'm all for equal opportunity. Like, everybody deserves a chance to work their asses off and bust their asses off. Like, that's what I think we should fight for when it comes to visible minorities and stuff. It's not. It's less. Like the pity party of the Democrats going, oh, well, you should have this too. So they're playing Robin Hood because they know psychologically that gets under people's skin, right? They want to look like they're the heroes, but they're just basically polluting it. They're like a flash in the pan. It's gonna be a big spark, and then any benefit is gonna be long gone for the long term. They'll give you like a fat government check and then and soak in all the tax money and launder it out into Swedish bank accounts. So many scandals in the Liberal parties and the Democratic parties. And
that's exactly, you hit the nail right on the head. And Elle, I definitely want to get your opinion on this as well. I absolutely 120,000% agree that everybody on the planet, regardless of race, creed, sexual orientation, whether they're immigrants or natural-born citizens, deserve equal opportunity. Yes. But equal opportunity does not necessarily mean equal outcome.
Very true.
Is that wrong to accept the fact that I may work just as hard as JD, but for whatever reason, them's the breaks, JD gets more than I did? It's not because JD's white and I'm not, or whatever the case may be. It's just simply luck of the draw.
Mm-hmm.
Natural selection.
Yeah.
If you're qualified and you're not getting enough money, well, there's always opportunities to advance in your career. You can always get more certificates to do something else. You could go get a college course or an apprenticeship to do more stuff. But they're not even highlighting that. They're just highlighting that this guy makes $30,000 more than you do a year. They're not including the part where he's paying probably about 40% taxes, where you're paying like 20% taxes. And that's all going towards funding people already, and funding healthcare, and funding this and funding that, and all these free handouts. That's where it goes to. But because he makes more in the long run, he's not even making that much more.
It's true.
Well, again, that's why I was saying what I was saying is that you're right. There's opportunity for advancement, and you know what? There's another freedom you have through equal opportunity as opposed to equal payout, is the fact that, okay, if JD and I are working at the same job, and for some reason, whatever the reason is, JD's making more money than me, there's nothing that says I have to stay at this job. I can go
No.
find another job.
What's your opinion, Ellie?
Well, I just think the whole system is really rigged if you look at it, because the people who make more money get freaking tax breaks.
Yep.
So it's actually the little guys who are paying all the all the big tax money and being taxed to death. And like, they're trying to create a welfare state. I'm not sure if you remember not long ago, Trudeau was talking about universal income. Okay.
Oh
And
yeah.
that is basically universal welfare for white people, because he has made orders to big companies not to hire Canadians of any color, but only to hire migrants. And then not only that, he's subsidizing the migrants' pay if these companies hire them. So basically, if you're out of a job right now, good luck finding another one, because only certain people will hire you. And, like I said, they're getting subsidized from this idiot Trudeau, and how do you compete with that, right? So I mean, but it's the little guys that are paying all the taxes. All these rich guys get all these tax breaks. I don't know. I just think the whole system's fucked. It's got to be reversed to where the more money you make, the more taxes you pay.
Well, I don't,
Referendum.
I don't know.
Well, on top of that, like the big companies and stuff, but they're also like funding their companies. They're hiring people as well. I mean, they're paying their salaries. So, like, is that some kind of equalization for like a little bit of a tax break when they're expanding companies and employing more people and stuff, and giving their employees raises, investing in other places? I mean, is that fair?
Well, would it
No.
be,
Should that be fair?
would it be fair to say that a lot of that's going on in today's society, where everybody expects free shit to be rewarded with as minimum effort as possible, is this a direct effort of the destruction of the nuclear family, or is this a destruction direct result of giving participation trophies? Like, where does this begin, that this mentality of like you don't go out and earn what you want?
If you want me to give a little rundown on my hypothesis, my thoughts on this, I think it all started when people who were sick and lame and incapable, basically, crippled or invalid, they weren't getting what they needed, right? And then their families, who might have been strong and capable of working, had to take care of them as well. So they went out and they fought. Like, the people who were crippled, who were sick, and the people who were strong, who had to take care of them, went out and fought for it. They fought for equal rights, for socialism, to help these people. And then somewhere along the way, somebody figured out that they could get a lot more votes by tapping into that and milking it for every cent that it was worth.
Wow. No doubt.
Well, I don't know where they're coming up with all this free shit, because there's nothing that's free. The taxpayers pay for it. I mean, they think this shit comes out of the ground free or what? Like,
No, you're absolutely right. We
I don't
know it's not
understand.
free, but to them it's free. They didn't have to put any effort towards it.
yeah, and that's the point. See, welfare itself was not meant to live on. Welfare was meant to get you by until you could get another job, right? Unless you're disabled or unless you're too old to work, you basically have to get your ass back to work, right? So too many people are encouraged to live on welfare because there's no incentives to get work, okay? And I don't know. I just think that they've almost created a dependency system to where they can control the population through having them on welfare. They can afford it because they're borrowing from the IMF at $1 on the two. We borrow one, we pay two back. So think about it. We borrow $1 trillion, we're paying $2 trillion back. So they just keep borrowing. Do you know how much debt we're in right now? It's phenomenal.
We're never going to get out of this debt.
Well, we can, but that's going to take a lot of. It's going to take a lot of suffering. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice for us to do that. But you know what? I would rather leave this world a better place for my grandchildren and their grandchildren, and so on and so forth. I would, I fight every day to try and make this world just a little better before I go. And I got idiots like Trudeau and all these idiots working against me. But I keep fighting because I'm not a giver-upper. But I can tell you right now, I do this strictly for your kids, your grandkids, my grandkids, all of our kids and grandkids. And we have to do something. There is no free shit, and kids have to be stopped in being indoctrinated in schools from kindergarten right up to college and university. They're being indoctrinated to this free shit. Okay, There is no free shit. You got to get your ass out of bed and go to work and earn it. Okay. Yeah, some people get paid more, some people get paid less. Well, then you keep switching jobs till you get one that pays better, but you don't just lay back on welfare. That's no life. So they're really creating a welfare state. And I don't know. I'm really against it myself. They need more incentives to get people off welfare.
See, I have a personal theory. I have a personal theory on that, just from personal observations. That I think that's exactly what the world globalist governments, the New World Order, if you will, really want. We shop online, we get our food online, our entertainment is online, and if we don't work and we're collecting welfare and then we're just sitting at the computer or on our video game systems all the time, and when we're hungry we call Grubhub or we need new clothes, we shop on Amazon, we never leave the house. We're contented in our own little fucking prisons, and that's where they want us. It's no longer a home, it's a prison cell.
That's what the technology is all about, is division and segregation. You see 4 kids walking down the street and they're all typing into a little box. They're talking to each other, man. They don't even know how to look at each other and say, hey, man, you want to get a pizza or something? No, they're typing it into a friggin' box. I laughed my head off. Like, what happened to the old days when, a bunch of people would buy a couple of bottles and cases of beer and go party? But they're segregating us. Drink nowadays. Yeah, and they're segregating us with technology and subversion of language. And if you believe anything like nationalism or independence, they accuse you, they call you this, they call you that. It's all intimidation to keep us segregated and divided, and technology is a huge part of that. If you look at your average person, if their cell phone was to shut down, their life would be effed, totally fucked. Okay.
I'm kind of guilty of that. I don't remember half my phone numbers, not like when I was a kid and I'd have all of them memorized.
Yeah.
I have a cell phone. I don't even use it. It sits in my drawer most of the time. I'm hooked on the internet. I'll admit that, but only through learning. I go on there to learn. I don't go on there to shop or play games or any of that kind of crap. But you're right. They're sucking us all into the technology to keep us confined, segregated, and divided, and it's working. And all they do is subvert the language, and everyone's a racist, or everyone's a misogynist, or this phobe or that phobe. It's all. I don't know how people are not seeing what's going on. I'm lost.
Because there's too much free stuff that they're going to get in the long run, right?
Free stuff. That's so funny.
Yeah.
People just are not.
Get paid.
People are just
spend
not
this
ready
much
to
time
unplug.
on the internet. Yeah, spend this much time on the internet doing this, and we'll pay you. If you hook your phone up to your smartwatch while you're jogging, we'll pay you. I mean, it doesn't end. Like, seriously, like, phones and stuff are like one of the greatest inventions ever. But I mean, like, that's even how I mostly communicate with people and stuff. I'm pretty antisocial myself, but I'm a bit of an introvert. So,
well, let's be fair. Technology like the internet is the best way to describe it is like nuclear energy. It's a great, great, wonderful thing. Nuclear energy warms houses, moves vehicles, could send us into space. There's a lot of great and useful and wonderful good that can be used from nuclear energy. However, nuclear energy also has that dark side that everybody knows about. We don't need to go into what it does.
Nuclear energy to go into space, by the way.
We could. We could.
I just want to cut you off there.
No, I'm saying that it could be used to propel us into space instead of using fossil fuels. Nuclear energy could be used to replace fossil fuels. Okay, but the fact of the matter is it's also got its dark side, and its dark side is it could be used as a weapon of mass destruction. Splitting the atom could be extremely volatile, dangerous, and deadly. Technology is the exact same thing. Yeah, it makes life so much easier that we have a computer in our pocket all the time, that we have access to unlimited information at our fingertip. But then we spend our time looking at fucking cat videos.
You know what? Baby goats are the best, okay?
They bite, they headbutt people in the nuts, they do flips. They're awesome.
Look at the baby goats in pajamas, okay? Don't tell me that's one of the best videos ever. Like, but yeah, for nuclear energy and stuff. Speaking of that, one of the headlines I was seeing today is Trudeau is pissing off India again with India's terrorist organizations and possibly making deals with them, possibly doing this, possibly doing that. The whole fact of the matter is he's negotiating and talking with India's terrorist organizations.
Oh my God, he's pissing off India. What will Canada ever do with no telemarketer calls?
Well, the thing is that Canada has no...
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Does this mean they won't take the $800 million we promised them for fucking, what do you call it, family planning or some stupid shit? Oh, no.
Well, yeah, but we have absolutely no nukes in Canada, and India has 110 nukes.
Uh-oh.
How the fuck does India, who doesn't even have, like, a whole entire country, has, like, one bathroom, have more nukes than Canada?
They have nukes.
And look, I don't care if I offended you. India's a shithole.
Canada has nukes. They belong to the U.S., though.
Yeah.
Pakistan was a few months ago. Pakistan was threatening to nuke India, and India's laughing because they're like, not only do we have 100 more nukes than you do, but everyone around us is going to nuke your ass. So Pakistan backed off.
Yeah, Pakistan started killing people up in India.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, India shipped off tomatoes to Pakistan, and Pakistan was throwing them on the streets, and India's laughing like, who's really suffering here? Because they came from India, you're tossing them around and running them over, but you guys paid for them. They're yours. You guys aren't gonna have tomatoes now. So India doesn't really seem to give a fuck. But when you're like crossing someone like that who doesn't seem to give a fuck, I mean, like right now we've got the powerhouses in the world. Like we've got the States, we've got Russia. That's not really talked about ever. That we nobody fucks with Russia, and now we've got India, who's like showing their fucking how much power they have.
You know, it's funny. I can't stand the guy, but I saw something on Facebook today. It was like an old stand-up routine of Trevor Noah before he decided that he was, some left-leaning liberal fruitcake Daily Show host. He actually said something that was hilarious because he was doing impressions, and he was right about Russia in the sense that, like, first off, their accent, they could be saying things like "I love you" and it sounds pissed off. But Russia is the only country to make America stop and think. Like any other country in the world does something stupid, America's right off the bat gung-ho. We're going to go fuck shit up. Russia does something we're like, well, let's not rush to conclusions because we know they have as much nuclear weapons as we do. Let's be fair.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the Satan missile, but it would probably crack the fucking world in half if they used it. That's how big this nuke is. They paraded it around on, I think it was like a 3-truck long. It was huge. I've never seen a nuke that big, and they call it Satan. They have another one called Satan 2, and these things are scary, but they would nuke half the planet, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's why, like, when this whole entire Trump-Russian collusion bullshit was going on, again, I voted for Trump, so my thought process is like, you know what? I don't care if he colluded with Putin, which obviously he didn't. But, I don't care even if he did. If he's got good relations with Russia, that means we ain't going to fucking war. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
No kidding. Clinton wanted blood. Clinton wanted blood.
Clinton wanted war.
Yeah.
And she said she was going right after Russia as soon as she got in. So I think a lot of people thought about that.
I'll be honest with you. Do I think the United States of America could beat Russia in a fight? Sure. But do I think America's going to walk away unscathed? Fuck no. Half of the United States and half of Canada and probably Mexico would all get their asses fucking, like, destroyed in that fight.
Even if Canada didn't get hit, we're the fallout zone. So either way, we suffer too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, could we win? Sure. But is it going to be a clean, easy fight? No.
If the States and Russia went to nuclear war, there would be no winner.
Yeah, all the snow would melt.
Global warming right there.
Yeah. Personally, I think Putin's an awesome leader. He's a great guy. And if he wanted to nuke us or the States or anyone else, he would have a long time ago. He's running his country properly. He's not like this douchebag we got running our country. He kicked the Rothschilds out of their country a long time ago. And yeah, they might be suffering because of it, but you know what? They're fucking sovereign.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
I've always liked Putin too.
Yeah.
It's like, what? If anyone's going to take over Canada, Russia, we're right here. Come get us.
Yeah, please.
We're sending out an SOS now.
I'd even love to have Trump. I was a Trump supporter, so I flipped a lot of people from Democrat to Trump, right? And him and Putin are probably the two best world leaders right now, and they're kicking ass. I'm so happy that he got in.
Oh, so am I, and I personally believe, like I do. We were talking about before on air, JD and I, about Bernie Sanders and AOC and Omar, the Omar broad, as JD put it, and how they're using the sleight of hand, the Wizard of Oz trick. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, type deal of the stupidity of AOC and the blatant racism of Omar to push Bernie into being normal, in the eyes of the voters. But can we be real for a minute? The Democratic Party, Nancy Pelosi, AOC, Bernie Sanders, all of them are acting so fucking radically out of control. It to me, and you guys are the outsiders looking in. Tell me I'm wrong here. I'm almost thinking it's a fucking landslide sure win for Trump in 2020.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely. I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. That's their fucking playbook. That's the Democrat playbook. And if you look at everything they're doing, it's all read out of that book, okay? And that's why the book is so batshit crazy right now. They're doubling down, right? And because they think America's stupid, but they got to realize Hillary lost a fixed election. That has probably never happened in the fucking history of the world. She lost an election that was fixed in her favor. That's how unpopular she is. Okay, and I don't know. It's just but everything they're doing, calling everyone names, accusing people of things that they're doing. That's all Saul Alinsky's playbook. And you should check that book out. You'll be reading the Democrat platform.
I will tell you what. One day that glass ceiling in the United States will be broken and we will have a woman president. In fact, I would throw my hat into a black woman president right now. Somebody I think would be perfect once she's a little bit older, because she's a little young right now. Candace Owen. That girl's got a fucking head on her shoulders.
Yeah,
wow.
She's good.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah. She is an ass kicker.
Please don't let it be Oprah. Oh my God.
Oh my God, right?
Oh God.
Oprah or Michelle?
Such a globalist bitch.
Ever since Oprah got she got caught in those Harvey Weinstein conspiracies or whatever was going on there. No, that's not a woman you trust who's pimping off other females to old creepy old men.
Yeah, well, she's holding secret meetings with Bill Gates and all the other globalists about depopulation and stuff. She's not somebody you ever want in running your country.
Well, think about it. Her whole entire involvement with fucking Harvey Weinstein and everything else, and one side she's bringing these young, impressionable talents to Harvey to do what Harvey does to them, but at the same time she's standing on TV, proud feminist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
she's a fucking liar.
selling out fucking women. You fucking,
Nothing but
We
that.
see what you do. You can say what you want. We know you're lying. We see the facts. You can't change the story. There's photo evidence. Get over it. We're not as stupid as you want us to be, okay, Oprah? You can't even pay me to change my mind.
Her
Okay,
tongue
maybe
was
I'll take the money. I
her
lie. I will
tongue
take
was
the
so
money.
far in his ear was coming out the other side, for crying out loud.
I mean, when she sat on TV and said for racism to end, old white people need to die.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah,
Verbatim, word for word.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah, no, she repeated it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
She stands by it. Oprah Winfrey is a bag of shit.
Exactly. A hefty,
Yeah.
hefty cinch sack bag of shit.
Yeah.
So I'm actually wondering, like, okay, so we've got Jason Kenney running, we've got like Sheer running, we've got all these other people running. I want to know, because I'm so curious, where the fuck do these people come from? Because one day we don't even know who the fuck they are, and the next day, hey, I'm running for prime minister. Like, what? Like, where were you before this? You're just all of a sudden running for prime minister? Like, where? Like, were you a lawyer before this? Like, where did you come from?
I did a little bit
I'm
of
always-
research.
Yeah.
Oh. So basically, I did a little bit of research on how they get up there. Essentially, you have to be popular in your sector, like in your area, right? So the people will vote you in if you're running for your sector, and then you pretty much have to be popular with the other delegates in your city. And then, like, this is to run for mayor type thing. Now you get brought up to the higher political parties, like the terrible, like you go municipal, then you go provincial, and then there's federal. You have to kind of prove yourself to the provincials. Yeah. And like the most basically how it works is the more people you have in your party, that have seats, the more who like you, because they're gonna vote amongst themselves to put you up as their alpha, right? Their running delegate.
So liberals literally put Trudeau on the top.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
If you want to know a little secret about politics, presidents and prime ministers are not elected; they're selected.
Yep.
What happens is the globalists choose who they want in, and then they manipulate the people to vote for that person. Okay, and it was happening in the States for like probably the last 100 years until Trump came along. It was the ball bearing in their cereal. Okay, they did not expect that. Very much like they did not expect Jesse Ventura in Minnesota. Okay, or was it? Yeah, it was Minnesota. He was senator of, right?
I think California.
No, it was Minnesota, I think. Anyway, so they didn't expect him either. The point is, the globalists select who they want, and then they manipulate everything down below with money. Okay, look at George Soros; he's a big part of it. So the next prime minister is going to be who they want in. It has fuck all to do with what the people want. And it's got fuck all to do with who's selected for what party. Those are just puppets. Like, you can shift a different puppet in or whatever, but they're still going to make who they want in, so they can manipulate our systems. The only one they don't want in is Maxime Bernier, because he wants all the globalists and the frickin' lobbyists out of our friggin' government. So they don't want him in. But I can tell you right now, the rest of them are all globalist parties waiting for their envelopes of money. So it really doesn't matter who they choose among themselves. The ones the globalists want are the ones that's going to get in. Trump broke that cycle in the States, and I hope it stays broken.
Yeah.
It's not very easy down here in the States with Trump breaking that cycle. I mean, we all of a sudden, like for example, the illegal immigration that has been going on, and the battle that has been, damn near an invasion coming from our southern border, has been outrageous. And one of the things I applaud, but I'm abhorred by Trump's decision, is to turn around and say, okay, fine, they can stay in the sanctuary cities. Fuck, I live in one of those sanctuary cities. I don't want them fuckers here. Send them home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I know, but the problem is that's what open borders does. Okay, we have people walking over our border that they're not even friggin'. They're supposed to be like this and Muslim and that Muslim. There's black people walking over with LA fucking Dodger caps and shit or whatever. Like anyone's walking over the border and they just got to say I'm Muslim basically, and they're getting all this money and hotels and shit.
Are they
California
really offering
Crips.
money?
That's,
Are they
yeah,
really offering money
we pay
if you're
them
a Muslim?
$60,000 each. We pay them $60,000 each, plus $3,000 a month on welfare, free cell phones, and free hotel rooms. Okay?
If they're Muslim, so if I were to just walk up and say, "Hey, I want to cross the border," they won't give it to me.
No, but if you said you're Muslim, they would. I'm actually thinking of going over in a burqa. Okay.
Did you guys actually hear about how Trudeau is actually deporting many of these people that he brought in? They're actually being deported now, like in mass numbers. So all their promises of their free welfare, their benefits and everything, he's pretty much letting them in, and then all of a sudden, boom, off you go back to your home.
Is this reneged just because of the fact that he used it as a political platform, or is it because he finally realized, oh shit, these people aren't good people?
Trudeau is a fucking idiot. So
Well, I
let's
know
leave
he's an
out that
idiot.
he doesn't know the difference between good people and bad people. But how would that even work out? Like, what was it just for the political thing? Because you know what, it made a lot of people happy that we're saving these people in these bomb-stricken countries, and they're going to be here, and we're going to give them salvation, and blah 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 blah.
And
but now he's sending them away.
Never once did they ask the simple question: "You're saving them from bomb-stricken countries. Who's the one bombing their countries?"
Well, when is the United States? When has the United States been bombed? Because most of them are coming over from the States. How can they be fleeing persecution, for F's sakes?
They're not fleeing persecution. It's an invasion. It is
I
all
know.
part of their plan to enforce Sharia law and turn all Muslim, and those who don't turn Muslim, the infidels like myself, are to be ostracized and even killed.
Hey, they want to throw me off tall buildings. Don't feel so bad.
That was why I asked the question earlier, why liberals are so retarded to adopt these policies, especially liberals who are transgender or who are gay or whatever, which is completely against everything Islam believes.
I know, and this is where it lies, okay? The Liberal Party has been the only political party in Canada to give the gay, the LGBTQ 6-9er or whatever the fuck they are now, to give them anything, okay? They gave them equality, they gave them acceptance, they gave them inclusion. Now they give them our school systems. They're actually running the sex ed programs in our schools. And in BC, it's called SOGI 123. And it's all run by the 12 LGBT groups, okay? And same with Ontario. It was written by friggin' pedophiles, our sex ed program. So basically, but the liberals have the LGBTQ 6-9er or whatever labeled like voting for them because they gave them shit, okay? And no other party has.
You see, I don't want to take over on Venus's show here. This is her show, but I don't know how many opportunities I'm going to get to be able to talk to a transgender person who's not a brain dead liberal. So you don't mind if I pick your brain a little bit here?
No, have at her.
On things, and again, I apologize in advance if anything comes off as offensive. It is not meant to be so. It's meant to be informative and educative. The questions that I want to ask.
Well, I'm not a snowflake, so shoot.
One of the things I would love to know is like your stance here in the United States. Like there was a big battle for transgender people to be able to use the bathroom they identify with. And if anybody ever brought up a concern about, like, not necessarily the transgender person who identified as a woman wanting to use the woman's bathroom, we don't have an issue with that. The question was brought up, what about the people who just claim they identify, but they're really a pervert?
Well, exactly, and this is the big problem. This is a big problem. I disagree with people being able to use a bathroom they identify with if you haven't finished your transition, I still use the men's room, and it gets pretty interesting, let me tell you. When I'm in a pair of heels and a miniskirt standing at the urinal, but that's don't get any mental images. But we should be using the bathroom of our gender until we are transitioned, okay? And this will eliminate a lot of the freaks being able to walk in with a big hairy chest and a dress saying, I'm transgender, walking into a woman's room, okay?
Well, see,
That's silliness, but it's happening. That's the problem. I was so happy Trump reversed that bathroom law when he got in, and I got crucified for that. But you know what? I don't think that someone who hasn't fully transgendered and still has a penis should be walking into the woman's room. It's a moral thing for me.
Well, let me ask. Speaking of moral, let me ask you another one too. Another one that's been all over the news and everything else right now is there's been this drag queen kid. The 10-year-old
Desmond amazing.
Desmond,
Desmond amazing. Now, grown adults choosing to change their sexual orientation or choosing to go with the sexuality that they feel most comfortable with, I have no issue with. But am I wrong here? Because down here in the United States, I'll be told that I'm a misogynist, I'm a transphobic, and everything else for this simple question: is it wrong to believe that it should be the choice or decision of a grown consenting adult, not a child?
Yes, and the thing is, Desmond's not transgendered; he's a drag queen. But that's still, in my eyes, it's wrong because they have him running around in clubs where there's all kinds of drugs and alcohol, and the kid's only 10 years old, 11 years old.
Right.
So they're almost indoctrinating him into the whole drugs thing. And I don't know if you've ever seen a video with him. It was all over the internet with him and Michael Elle and some other guy. Michael Elle is a guy who killed a drug dealer and then basically hacked up his body and stuff, and he just finished 25 years in prison. Well, he's sitting there with this Desmond kid. This Desmond kid was whacked on something. I can guarantee you it was like heroin or roofies or something like that. But
right.
There was a picture right behind him that said Rufinol on it, right? So, I mean, the parents, in my eyes, should lose that child. That child should be taken from the parents because they are endangering his life, okay? If he wants to run around at home dressed as a drag queen or whatever, that's different. But letting him go to gay bars where there's drugs and alcohol and some pretty twisted people, let me tell you, I know a bunch of them, and they're very twisted, okay, should not be around little children like that. So, and yet I would get scolded for saying so and told that, I'd probably be called transphobic myself. I have been called transphobic.
Which is just like an oxymoron, isn't it?
Well, it is, because I'm transgender. How can I be transphobic, right?
Well, I do have one final question it's always wanted to eat at me. And believe it or not, here at Realm of the Mist, we used to have a podcaster who was a transgender person. They have long since left, but they were one of the people that is like the people I'm describing to you of if you just don't automatically accept and don't question anything we say, that's the only way you're showing tolerance. Otherwise, you're transphobic or blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
The final thing that I want to ask your personal opinion, being a transgender person, I have made this argument left, right, and 6 ways from Sunday, and it kind of leads back to the bathroom thing because I made this argument. And Venus, you remember this conversation, where I turned around and said, if a man who transitioned to a woman or identifies as a woman wants to use the women's room, or not even just the room, but it would have handled the whole entire situation, is if a man who decided they wanted to transition to a woman, instead of being a trans woman, why not just be a woman? Isn't that the whole entire point of the trans part, is that you want to change from one sex to the other?
Well, yeah, once I transition, I won't be calling myself trans anymore. But a lot of them do. A lot of them do. I don't understand it.
They almost wear it like we want to be treated like the sex we identify with, but we're trans. We got to be equal but separate. Is the best way I could describe it. Like we got to be treated special because we're trans. We're not just women. We're trans women. We're not just men. We're trans men.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. Once you've had your surgery and you've completed your transition, you're at that specific gender. You're no longer trans. That whole transition's done. So the trans is gone. But they keep sucking on it. It's like I don't know if you know who Blair White is.
Sounds familiar.
She was making a fucking shitload on being trans. Now, I had heard she had had her surgery, and now I'm finding out she backed out of it after collecting all this money for her surgery, okay? So I see that as a money scam, and then she's still, even though she says she's detransitioning, she's still as transgender, okay? Because the money's good. And that's where a lot of it either comes in because of money or because of social status, because they love being... I don't know. It's almost like, I won't say feared, but close to that, where they can push their luck and not have to worry about it because they're trans, right?
Right.
But once you're transition, like when I transition, I'm a female, and that's it. And I will never mention the word trans. I will never show a trans flag in my videos again. To me, that journey's over, and I'm done with it. So I don't see why anyone continues to call themselves trans men or trans women. It's almost like they're defeating what they did.
Well, you know what? I got to say thank you very much. It's very refreshing to have a conversation with somebody like yourself who actually will have a civil conversation with these ideologies and actually agree with some of the foundations and worries that quote unquote cisgenders or whatever the case may be, people that are not of the trans community would have, and not just automatically dismiss us as racist and phobias to their culture in some way, shape, or form, simply because we have these questions. I truly appreciate the time you gave me on that. And
well, you're welcome. And I know how trans people are. I can't even get along with them myself. I just the problem is that they're all withdrawn and they're all angry and they're all stuffy. I just can't deal with that. But no, they push their luck too far. And you know that the whole transgendering children now is one thing I'm fighting on my YouTube channel. And
nice.
I have so many cis people that have signed on my account because they agree with what I'm saying. Okay.
No, you just gained another subscriber.
One over here too.
It's really.
I told you guys she was awesome.
Yeah.
It's just really foolish. But you know, don't let them call you this or call you that. Basically, we're all just people. We all bleed red. We all, bruise when we get punched. And why does everyone have to be divided and segregated into groups? And we're just people, okay? And trans people, I have a dozen of them, females, on my subscriber list. You would never know because they're gorgeous. I hate them, but they're just like me. And they are now female. They don't call themselves trans anymore. And they're just, they're just regular people. That's all we are. We're just regular people. The other ones are snowflakes. And they will continue to call you every name in the book to try and intimidate you out of challenging them, okay? And no, I don't go for the multi-gender, multi-pronoun agenda. I've been called transphobic for that one. To me, it's not about left or right. It's about globalism versus patriotism, and the patriots are going to win. And basically they're now trying to intimidate us out of being proud of our countries by adding the word white to nationalist.
Yeah.
It's like an intimidation factor. I'm a nationalist, and I'm a proud nationalist, and I love my country. And screw them. I'm going to start a movement, a nationalist movement for people who are proud of their country and fed up with the bullshit of being called names because they're proud of their country. They cannot label us with white because there's nationalists of every color in Canada. Canada is a multinational country, okay? We have all colors, all religions, all everything, all genders, whatever. And I only see 2 genders, but anyway. So no, they're labeling us as white nationalists as an intimidation factor, and I will not allow that. And I just wanted to say that, don't let anyone push you around. We're all just people, and push back. Don't be afraid.
It's
With
funny.
all the
Sorry.
With
Go
all-
ahead. Go ahead, JD.
Sorry, guys. With all the gender fluidity going around, I'm sure nobody will be too mad if I call Justin Trudeau a big cunt. But
He's a little
On that-
girl in a man's body.
yeah, absolutely.
It's funny, you see a guy, but you hear a little girl talking, and I'm just like, where the fuck did this guy get into politics?
Right?
See,
God.
it's funny. It's funny that you said that, Elle, about the word patriot really rang to me because for the longest time, I always called myself just right of center. Like, there's some democratic or left-leaning ideologies that I do actually agree with. I've become more, I don't want to use the word radical right, but I've become more conservative than I've ever been because of the whole entire divide in my country. But for the longest time, I never called myself a conservative or a Democrat or a liberal. I called myself a patriot. My country came first, not the two-party
Exactly.
system.
Amen to
Yeah.
that.
I never even got into politics until the Ontario elections where Ford won. And like before that, like I didn't even vote for the federal elections in 2015. I actually wasn't home for that, so it kind of made it difficult. But after like watching what Kathleen Wynne did to the country, did to the province, and her continuous like free stuff, I'm like, okay, well, you're not just going to get this free stuff. And that NDP leader and whoever else was running with her, that other female from whatever city or whatever region, when she lost, she took it really bad. And I was so happy that NDP did not win that day.
Yeah.
Because when she sat there and she's like, I'm a feminist and it's all your fault, all of Ontario, you're all fucking losers for not voting for me. And she blamed everyone and like brought everyone down hardcore. And I'm like, you know what? I'm so glad you're not you're not in there.
What was this person's name?
Was it
She
Horwath?
wasn't.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, Horwath.
Is that a synonym for Hillary Clinton?
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, but I was actually voting for Doug Ford, and everyone's like I like lost family over that, and they're like, why are you voting for him? Because he's not going to do anything for you. And there's this one guy who's actually like so pro NDP and liberal, like liberals and NDP should just join together and blah blah blah. I showed JD some of these things that he was posting, and oh my god, it was just ridiculous. Like conservatives need to go, and they need to stop doing this, and blah 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 blah. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, you know what?
These incels needed help.
You need good thing you have conservatives, because this carbon tax, I thought taxed on everyone's hydro, you're lucky you don't have that, because you guys don't have the employment in order to pay that. Like, you guys aren't working. You guys are all living off these free handouts because the whole like system collapsed and you guys all wanted your free shit. You're not going to be able to afford that. You could barely afford to pay your rent.
You know what? You're not wrong. I live in a city called, for those listening, I live in Philadelphia. Okay, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my city is run by the most liberal mayor on the planet. We call him Dancing Kenny. Dancing Kenny got on air, on camera, dancing around when he declared Philadelphia a sanctuary city. Okay, this idiot has turned around and put on a sugar tax on sodas to 3 cents per ounce. 3 cents per ounce, which the tax was supposed to go to roads and schools. Roads are atrocious here in Philadelphia, and schools are still using substandard equipment. That money never went to anything. He's done the same thing to cigarettes and tobacco products. And now he's proposing for our congested streets, our more main streets, to be taxed. He wants to tax us to drive on busy roads.
That you're already being taxed on,
right?
With everything else, like your basic, your land taxes pay that. All that other stuff already pays that. They're not getting fixed. So we need to raise taxes, or you need a better person to distribute the money properly. Like, look at
It's been going into his own pocket, and I'm going to give an endorsement right now to anybody in Philadelphia listening. When the mayoral election goes up, vote Billy Corgliani. He will straighten this city out. He's going to undo everything Kenny has ever done. Get rid of Dancing Quinny. Kenny. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Kenny's
Yeah,
the
just,
UCP in Alberta.
Philly for
Yeah.
Billy.
But yeah, I remember I got so much shit from everyone, like for being a fucking conservative supporter, and I'm like, well, you guys really like look at this shit. It's all falling apart. NDP has no leadership skills. Liberals are fucking sucking everything dry. How much money was invested just in the Kathleen Wynne's campaign? Like $27 million, and she lost. Like that money, yeah, that money could have been put towards healthcare and stuff that now everyone has to compensate without having. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna have some cuts, but guess what? They had to be necessary cuts at this point. There's no money coming in from anywhere else. You're not getting your equalization payments because there are none to give. Like it's like Doug Ford's obviously being stuck with what he's got and got to work with it. And I mean, it makes him look bad because liberals look out for each other. And yeah, we'll keep promising more stuff and keep promising more stuff. But then you get the shit end of the stick and it's like, well, we can't promise you that because we don't have that to promise you.
You're not wrong.
Well, basically, the good news is we can put a cast on your arm that's broken. But the bad news is you got to pay for the cast. And that's kind of how it is with Doug Ford right now. He's eliminating a lot of. He just made cuts to OHIP and CAMH, and now the public health system. He's slashing everything. So he's basically. And what for? What is the deficit being lowered? No, it's still going up every day. Okay, he promised to get this $6 million man out of the hydro chair. And he just put another one in. So basically, we didn't get rid of anything. We just changed faces.
The weekend before they did that, it was Canada Day weekend. So it's a long weekend, and look at the hydro blackouts there were that weekend. I don't know if you guys remember that, but for 3 days we had like no hydro, or it was off and on. So they got paid.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just gonna have to say a quick goodbye now. The Yellow Vest movement is calling out my name. I'm gonna put on my yellow superhero cape and fly away.
Awesome.
So it was great chilling with you guys. You guys all rock. You guys all bring amazing opinions and facts to the table. And proud to hop on the podcast with you guys.
Always welcome,
Perfect.
Jamie.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
Thanks, Venus.
Right.
Thanks, Ellie.
Have a good night.
You too, eh?
For sure.
Well, this is going to be some one-on-one time because, Venus, as I told you before, I've got to mute my mic to be able to go pick up my old lady from work. So I'll be back on when I'm back. So you guys keep going.
We got some girl time.
Yay!
This never happens.
Well, hey, always an anomaly, eh? We can talk about Trudeau.
You know what? Like, oh my God, how the fuck? Okay, like in your opinion, because like we're like, well, we've clearly got like a lot of the same opinions, but we're like clearly from different worlds or different lives or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
How the fuck can Trudeau be a feminist? How the fuck can there even be a male feminist?
Well, yeah, there always have been male feminists, but he's not one. He's bringing in an ideology that wants to oppress women, right? He claims to be a supporter of the LGBTQ 6-9er, but he's bringing in an ideology that wants to kill them, okay? He's everything he does, it's all lies, it's all scams, it's all. A year before the election, he was interviewed and he said, I don't want nothing to do with politics. Then all of a sudden, he's got smaller jobs in the HOC and in the government, and then all of a sudden, a year later, he's running for office and he's going to save Canada. Like, give me a fucking break, Justin, you little fucking quisling. No, I don't understand it. It's like I said, the globalists went to him and said, look, we'll give you all the money you can handle, but you have been chosen. Your name is right because your stepdad was in office, so people will vote for you, and we're going to make sure you get in. And they did. How they did? Do you know that CBC was showing us results from BC and Alberta before our polls even closed? And out east, we were all seeing what was going on in Alberta and BC.
Wow.
Okay, that's illegal. That's against the election rules for any network to show polls to anywhere that basically still has polls open. So they broke that law, and I jumped up and screamed up and down about it on Facebook, and everyone just went, you're crazy. No, I'm not. They just broke the friggin' law and got this little retard in office. Like, I was pissed. I was begging people not to vote for him. I mean, I was no better. I voted Mulcair, but at least we could have worked with him, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know either way he's a globalist bitch too, but we could have worked with him. We had 4 years to work with him until we could get rid of him. But no, Trudeau was forced in because the globalists wanted him in, because he's such a puppet. He's a good-looking kid who can get all the women voters, which he did. He was told to say, yes, we'll legalize pot so that the government could take over as the drug dealer, and the globalists would make more money. None of that money's coming back into the country or the economy, so that's all going to the globalists. Plus, they could push these migrant compact and the carbon tax and all this other shit, which is an invasion of our country, basically. Now the UN runs this country, okay? And we're still paying for a government that does nothing. Do you know what a de facto government is?
You know what? I actually know what de facto means, because I've actually studied what a de facto court is. And actually, like when you go to court and you're criminally charged, it's a de facto court. So what the de facto means in the court is that it means it's not actually legal. It means you're consenting to it, but you don't have to. It's a violation of your rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to have a jury of peers. You go in and you see one judge. That's a de facto court. That's not withstanding your rights. That's taking them away, and you are consenting to it. It's not technically legal, but they force it on you so that you believe that it is legal.
Okay, well, this is where we get a de facto government. Is because Canada is a corporation. We are not a country. We are not a sovereign nation. We are traded every day on the stock exchanges as a corporation. Okay. Our government are nothing more than a CEO and a bunch of other COO and a bunch of other losers who run the corporation. They are not a legal government. We do not have a de jure government, which is what we want. And so in that regard, we're paying for a government that do nothing because the UN is running our country. Okay. But yet we're still paying all these, I don't know how much it costs to run a friggin' government. I'm betting over $1 billion a year. So we're paying all that money for a government that's de facto. They're not even our government. It's a takeover. It's a forced takeover. And they've conned people into thinking that they're voting into this. Really, we should be voting for a de jure government. Okay.
Well, not only that, like we're under her Queen the Majesty. Well, Her Majesty the Queen.
No, we're not. We're not a crown.
No, not anymore.
No, we never have been.
We're not sovereign.
Constitution was never finished. Our Constitution was never signed in. So basically, she has no rule over this country whatsoever. That was all for show. We are a corporation, okay? So are the U.S. actually, but we have never been a crown. We're just set up that way to look that way. Like you get crown attorneys and all the stuff in court and all this, and our government's set up just like in Britain, okay? But we are not under her power. So we're a corporation, and we're not a crown. So she has no say. And that's where a lot of people get confused. They think, well, why can't we just go to the Queen? Well, the Queen's a globalist. She's a globalist bitch, okay? She doesn't give a fuck about Britain. Why would she care about Canada?
No, she's actually sovereign from her own country. Like her castle isn't even on British soil. It's on its own country's soil. She doesn't belong to a country. Her son's wife, whatever her name is, she's sovereign as well. So why aren't we taking cues from the Queen and just we're sovereign now, as individuals?
You know what her real name is? You know what her real name is? Saxa Kohlberg Gotha, and she came from Germany. Okay.
Oh wow.
She's not even fucking British.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. There's been a lot of like incest and like wife trading and then daughter trading and stuff like that within the how do you say that? Well, within the royal families.
Yeah, the monarchy.
Forever.
That's
Yeah.
why Diana was killed, because she was going to write a book exposing a lot of it, and they made
Oh, yeah.
sure she didn't get that book released. But yeah, so a lot of people call that conspiracy theories, but if you look at all the facts, she was killed. It was an out and out murder. Okay. And so, but the Queen has no say over Canada whatsoever. She really has no say over Britain. They just fall into it.
You
I
just
don't.
let her do whatever she wants, pretty
Yeah,
much.
like they're all like, oh, the royal families is so lovely. No, they're not. They've got pallets of fucking gold in their basement. She wears a crown that's worth more than Britain makes in a fucking day. Like she cares about the people. She's charging them $23 million a year to sit in a chair and do fuck all.
Yeah, there's got to be more to that story than that. Like $23 million. Actually, I was even hearing that she isn't even worth anything now at this point. What was she living off? Pretty much, she's got no more funds. She's just got what she's got. So I think it was supposed to be that pretty much they were going to let her live out her life there, and pretty much that would be it with the royal family after that. But
she has more money than most elitist families. Don't kid yourself. I've seen her walking around in her basement and has skids full of gold bars. She collects gold, okay? And there were skids upon skids upon skids of gold and silver, okay? She's very, very rich. She's one of the world's richest. But she's still a minion to the Rothschild family, who basically run the planet. So
yeah, didn't that all start off with, we're going to get into conspiracies now here, but didn't that all start off like about 1,000 years ago with the Knights Templar and stuff? And they were funding the Vatican and all this other crap, and then they all supposedly died and everything. But I don't want to touch into too much into that on this show. We do have Tinfoil Hat Society reboot coming out, so that'd be great for that show. Yeah.
I'd love to join that one.
It was fun. We started it last week. We had like one show on it, and we had to make some changes within it, so it's not going to be re-debuting until next week. But it's going to be a really fun show.
I'd like to get in on that one. I love conspiracy shows.
We all love conspiracies. I don't even think anyone could lie about it. You could be the most straight-thinking person or forward-thinking person in the world, but when somebody says, "Oh my God, I saw a UFO," you're like, "What?"
Yeah, acting like it's odd.
I know it's been pretty normal lately. What was that one year where they had UFOs over every big city? Japan, France. I think there was one in. Oh yeah, everywhere. And it was all over the internet.
Yeah, Nova Scotia had them. They were everywhere. Yeah, and the same ones, the same triangular ones, were seen everywhere. And like what a lot of people don't realize, they've been coming here for thousands and thousands of years. So I mean, I don't know. People just they do not want to believe what they fear. Basically, they want nothing to do with it because they don't want to know about it. They fear it.
Well, when the government makes it seem like a big alien invasion and aliens are going to take over and whatnot, I think the government should be scared. First off, if we're here to where we are now and they've been here, and I mean, like you can look at like hieroglyphs and everything and mentions of star people and everything and like every culture that's ever existed, they've been here forever. Then like until the government started coming in and making them seem scary, like who's really scared? Like the government's scared.
Yeah. No, if they wanted to take over this planet, they could have. They'd probably come down here and go, "What a fucked up bunch of losers! I don't want that planet." Let them kill each other off. We're gonna, I'll save the rest for your other show, but
for sure.
Like they've been coming here so many thousands of years. So I mean, it's nothing new. Like I saw a UFO. Oh yeah, cool. So anyway, how about the Leafs? It's like it's not a big deal anymore. So
right,
but
yeah.
Getting back to Quisling, Trudeau.
Well, what do you think about conservatives, like altogether? Because we talked about NDP a little bit. Even that Sagmeet Singh or whatever his name is, the guy who's running for prime minister, who's from India.
Yeah.
A little bit of backstory about him. He's banned from India currently, and he's got about 50 worldwide terrorist charges under his belt.
Yeah.
And this is the political leader that some people are even considering voting for. Meanwhile, again, if that happens, that's going to cause a huge conflict with India. Like, we're going to have, like, we have idiot Trudeau in there now, and they don't even want to associate with him now, but now we're going to put someone who's wanted on their list up in power, and we don't even have an army.
I doubt very much he'll ever be in power. I doubt very much the NDP will ever be in power. It's always going to be PC or Liberal until Max Bernier can kick some ass and get more voters. It's a left and right paradigm right now, okay? People say, okay, well, let's vote red. Let's vote Liberal to get rid of these PCs. They're horrible. Okay, 4 years later, oh no, we got to get rid of these red guys. They're horrible. Let's vote for these blue guys. And it's back and forth, and it's left and right paradigm, okay? It really is. And basically, they're keeping people within those two parties. They're both globalists, okay? So are the NDP, so are the Green Party, so is that, what's his face, Canadian something, Gary somebody. He claims to be a nationalist or populist, but he's total globalist. The only populist party we have is Max Bernier's PPC, okay? They're the only pro-Canada party. They're the only ones who want to do what's right for Canada. And he was asked by Muslims, he was asked by Jewish, he was asked by LGBT, what will you do for us? And he looked right at them and he said, nothing. He said, but as Canadians, I'll do everything I can for you. But I will not pander to special interest groups or special interest groups. It's not how he works. He wants Canada united, and that's why they want to keep him down. That's why they won't. I bet you if you go to Google right now, I don't even think they'll show up on the Canadian political parties list. But he's had status since December 10th, okay? And they're still denying he exists. And when he's on the news, they try and run him down and call him a racist and everything, and he makes them look like monkeys. This guy is so intelligent. He's got his platform baked in his head like a pie, okay? They cannot shake him. They cannot move him. He is solid. He's the guy I want. He's the guy I want for prime minister. And that's Max.
I was saying that too, and everyone's like, "Well, he's pro Quebec." I'm like, "Well, you know what? It's not the worst thing right now."
No, he's not. He told Quebec the same thing. I'm not doing anything for you, okay? That Quebec hate him. Seriously, because he's not going to be giving them all the handouts they've been getting from the other parties. He's told them that up front. He is from Quebec. He was in the Quebec Separatist Party way 25 years ago when he first started. But he's been with pretty much conservatives ever since, on and off. And yeah, he's fucked up a few times. He took responsibility for his actions, and he stepped down. He paid the price for it, and they kept bringing him back. The man can take responsibility when he fucks up. How many other leaders have you ever heard that could do that?
I know, like we've got Trudeau, who's always pushing blame everywhere else, or throwing words at people to make them look bad. Like you are in power. You're in the political position of power right now. You're supposed to be, you don't have to be apologizing. Nobody expects that, but when you're fucking up, you're gonna have to own up to it. That's part of your job. You're supposed to be like a role model to the rest of the country, and to other countries, because right now you look like a fucking daisy.
Speaking of role models, I'm back.
I'm back. How do you expect a little girl to be a man? Right? It's like,
you know what, my 9-year-old daughter.
Man up. He's not a man at all. He's a douchebag. That's what he is.
My 9-year-old daughter can step up and accept responsibility for her actions when she does something, and she'll I'm so glad I taught her how to sit there and talk about it. Okay, I've had little mock trials with both my kids because they wanted to be a little dicks that day or something. And, they're fighting and whatever, and they do something wrong. And it's like, okay, you know what? Go to your rooms think about what you're going to say, and you guys can plead your case, and we're going to decide if you get punished and how bad your punishment is, depending on how you present yourself and why you did what you did, and you need to go calm down and do that. So they've actually done that stuff, and it actually turned out really good, because it's like and they're like, well, why would we do that? Other parents just send their kids to the room and punish them. I was like, because you know what? You're going to be an adult one day, and you're going to be out in the real world, and you're not just going to get a slap on the wrist or sent to your room when you do something wrong, but you're going to have to stand up for yourself, and you're going to have to talk, and tell people, I did this because of that, because of that, because of that. And a lot of people are going to respect that a lot more than just, okay, just punish me, or, it's not my fault. No, you did it. But why you did it is a different reason, and what you did is a different thing. And you guys are responsible for that. Like, from the day that they could
talk to Trudeau, please.
Right? You know what, Trudeau? You need a mom lesson right now. Sit down in the fucking corner for 5-10 minutes, and we'll talk about this shit. You're in trouble, mister. Isn't that what the world is missing, is moms? Responsible moms.
Yep.
You know what?
I remember
when the world started listening to Dr. Spock and not listening to the sound of Dad's belt coming out of 6 loops on a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
That's when the world went to shit. Kids need their asses whooped once in a while again.
Yeah, they got a 1-800 number they can call now for anything. It's like, you looked at me sideways, 1-800, they need to take that away. And give parents the right to discipline kids, not to beat them, not to go past that line. Okay, there's a line.
Yeah.
But parents need to be able to take control of the kids again. We have a nation full of over-entitled little pussies who don't want to work, they don't want to be a part of society, and they want everything free. And they talk back to their parents like, man, I would have had my head taken off my shoulders if I talked to my parents the way kids do nowadays.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I made a threat one time. My mother was mad at me. I made a threat one time to call DHS, on her. And she said, go ahead, call the cops. She'll be dead before they get here. And it doesn't bother me. I can make another one look just like you. And you know what? I believed her. I hung that phone up quick.
My kids made this children's aid comment to me once, and I'm like, you know what? If you want to call the children's aid because I gave you shit for something you did, go right ahead and call them, because you know what? They're going to come here, and you know what? I'll tell them to take you. I'll pack your bags for you now, but you're going to go to some other mom and dad, and you're going to be with some other family, and you might not have it as this good. And you know what? I might not want you back afterwards. And they're like, well, fuck me. I don't want that to happen. They thought it was going to be like a vengeance tactic, but it was like, well, if you go, you go. And you know what? Not every parent gets their kids back later. So you might be stuck with a whole different family for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So they actually, oh my God, there's one punishment I did for my one kid. We were supposed to go to Dollarama one day. So my daughter was probably about 8. My son was probably about 6, 7. And my son did something just before we're about to leave, 10 minutes before we're about to leave. And I'm like, you know what? Go to your room. We're not going to Dollarama. And we were going to get art supplies and stuff. And it broke my daughter's heart. And she started crying. And I was like, for fuck's sakes. I'm like, I can't just take one kid and not the other, because there's only one of me, right? So I made him come out of his room. And I'm like, you see what you're doing? You hurt your sister's feelings. She's punished because you're being punished. And he's like, well, and he starts feeling bad about it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to give you one option right now. I'm like, you could go to your room and you could ruin your sister's day too. And if she's not nice to you later, don't be upset about it. And don't be surprised, because I'd be pretty pissed off too. I was like, we could do that. Or, he swore at me. He told me to fuck off or something. I'm like, or you could stand here right now and I'm going to put soap in your mouth and we could deal with that. And you know what? Punishment will be over. We could go with your sister, and you're not going to swear anymore. He's like, okay, I'll take the soap. And I'm like, oh, this will be funny. You know what? Because he's never had that type of punishment. Because he's never really acted out where I need to do that. And they've always been pretty to work things out to I deserve this punishment, or I'll go to my room, or I'll do this for you or something. So he had this choice, and so he thought it would be nothing, right? And it's Sunlight dish soap, which I'm sure we all had as kids too, right? And so I put the little bit on the finger and like on his tongue, and he closes his mouth, and then he looks at me and starts gagging. I'm like, oh my god, go to the bathroom! Like he gagged all the way to the bathroom. He didn't puke, and he's like, Mom, you know that stuff's really bad. I'm like, yeah, well, so is you swearing at me. And yeah, he stepped up. I was really proud of him for stepping up, and like he didn't want to see his sister sad and everything, like, and he didn't realize how it would affect her. And it was a simple parenting thing. And I don't even see many parents. You know what? I was really proud.
You gave him a drop of dish soap on your finger. When the last time I had soap in my mouth, it was a fucking bar of Irish Spring.
Yeah. He's never had this before. He gags eating a Warhead candy. Okay. So he's got like his taste buds are really like defined. Like he doesn't like different things. Like he doesn't like sour and like too salty. He doesn't even like if you put like just a tiny bit of a hot sauce in something or something. He's not going to eat it. He'll gag on it. So that little bit of dish soap, and he's never had it before. And I know that stuff is just terrible. That's all he needed. He's never sworn at me again. And he didn't. Well. Just like not letting a sister hurt. But people don't realize like even your actions have reactions and consequences on other people as well.
Yeah.
And if you guys were if people were taught that at a young age, it would save people from so many years of having to you don't care about it because you were never there. I'm so glad I had 2 kids like that are close in age.
I told my mom to fuck off once.
Only once.
Just once, eh?
Once. She beat the living crap out of me. And you know what? I didn't think of it as abuse. I knew I was learning a lesson. Like we were taught at respect at the back of a hand. But you know what? We respected our elders. And kids today don't know that. Luckily, your kids will because they can at least take responsibility for their actions. But think of how many kids are around that don't and won't. And they want $300 pairs of fucking Reeboks, or they're calling someone on you. Okay?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Growing up, my grandfather had his specific spot that he sat at the kitchen table. He always sat there to do his work and everything else. And there was a cabinet right behind his chair at the kitchen table. On that cabinet door was a car fan belt. I got hit with that sucker twice in my life. Why only twice? Because I wasn't dumb enough to make it 3 times.
Like I don't understand like parents thinking like to punish your kids or take some what was that word I was looking for, to discipline your kids. You have to hit them and you have to yell at them. Like I've yelled at my kids a few times, I'm not gonna lie, especially when they did something like dangerous that was gonna kill them. Like I'm losing my shit, I'll probably give them a few smacks and everything. But it's either, you're about to run in front of a car and die, or I'm going to beat your ass livid because you scared the hell out of me and you could have died. And this is like minute, a little butt spanking is minute to getting squished into a pancake on the road. But like for the most part, like I haven't needed to yell at my kids or anything. And I don't even think parents spend enough time with their kids, communicating with their kids. No. Like when I get mad, my kids are terrified and I don't even have to like yell at them or anything. They're just like, oh, fuck. Mom's mad. This is not going to turn out well because we're going to lose shit. We're going to have to go to our rooms. It's going to be stuff we don't want to have to do. They know they're going to get disciplined, but what discipline is and how people treat discipline and why kids even behave in the first place, I guess a whole different other subject we could get into for like another week.
Right.
But it's really simple to tell your kids no and, mean it. Or, to give them praise for something good they do. I don't think Justin Trudeau got any of this as a child. No. I don't think half these politicians did because they don't understand that their actions will affect the whole country or all the people that live under where they reside over.
He's a trust fund tit sucker. He doesn't know. He's never worked a day in his life, and he's never known a good spanking. You know what I mean? Like
what about Scheer? Because he looks like one of those assholes too. Like I'm voting conservative this year, and I'm hoping over the next 4 years, like someone like Bernier can rise up. But you know what? We've got like if Conservative was in power, we've got Bernier against Scheer to make the perfect little battle for the next 4 years, where Bernier could actually bring himself up, where people will actually vote for him.
Yeah.
But I just don't like him at all. He looks like one of those spoiled little rich kids too that you just want to punch in the face in grade 1.
Yeah, he is. I hate his dimples. Every time I see his dimples, I just want to punch my computer screen. He just looks like he's always laughing at us. You know what I mean?
See, I'm sitting here, and now I'm feeling like I'm watching a hockey game listening to these names.
Well, here is the Conservative Party leader who's up for Prime Minister. Trudeau, you know who he is.
Right.
But the Conservative Party itself, like cutting the carbon tax and things they promised. The thing is they got like Daddy, like Bernier, who used to be part of them, who separated from them. So he's got like all the dirt on them. He's got everything. Like this guy will honestly whoop their fucking asses. And hopefully in 4 years, we'll be voting for him. Because I actually see a lot of potential in him, but it's like so iffy because all of a sudden he's running for prime minister like in the last few months before elections. And it's like, well, who are you? But this will really give him an opportunity to shine if Scheer gets
his only downfall is that he doesn't have a lot of experienced people running with him that people know. Okay. He's an ex-MP, and yeah, he's been around a long time, and people know him, but everyone else is new, like Laurel Lynn Tyler Thompson and Jennifer, what's her name out there in Lady Smith in BC, and all these people are new, right? So they aren't. I think that's the only thing that's going to really hold him back. Himself, I could see him being voted in, but what party is he going to have, right? He would have mostly probably conservative MPs underneath him, so it wouldn't be much of a government. But he's too new. That's the problem, and I'm voting for him anyway. 4 years.
He's got 4 years to really make a difference, though.
Well, yeah. Well, he's doing good for someone who just started out. It took Preston Manning 4 years to get where he's at right now after, 5 months? So I got hope. I'm voting PPC this election, and most people I know are. And simply because we want to do what's best for Canada, right? And even if he loses, you know what? Venus, I'm going to sleep, and I'm going to sleep at night really well because I knew I did what was best for the country, regardless of the outcome. And that's really all that matters in the end of my day. I wouldn't sleep at night if I bailed and voted for a douchebag like Scheer or Singh because I didn't
vote at all.
Or didn't vote at all. Yeah, no, you can't bitch if you don't vote. But no, I'm voting for Bernier because I know I'm gonna do what's best for the country, and I truly think he's got a chance. If people will just realize that there's no such thing as split the vote. That is fear-mongering created by Andrew Scheer and the PCs who want to keep their voters. Oh, no, if you split the vote, the Liberals will win. Well, how do they know that? That's like, how do you predict an outcome like that? That's bullshit. It's fear-mongering to keep their base.
No,
they don't want them.
It's the same deal down here in the States with the whole entire argument of the popular vote versus the Electoral College.
Exactly.
The fact of the matter is that if we relied only on the popular vote would drown out all the smaller voting districts and areas. Places like Kansas, Missouri, Oregon, they would have no voice because everything would be drowned out by California, New York,
and New
Texas.
York, yeah.
And the bigger populated areas. The reason for the Electoral College is to make sure that everybody's vote counts and everybody has a voice. And that's the big thing that I think everybody should take away, whether it's Canada or the United States. Is you're right. If you don't vote, you don't have a say, or you don't have a right to bitch. But the fact of the matter is, win, lose, or draw, it is your civic duty to try to get the best person in office that will represent best for your respective country. You need to go out and vote.
Exactly. But see, people are worried that even if they do vote, they already they have a meeting beforehand and they decide who's going to win. So your vote doesn't even count. But if you actually if every Canadian went out and voted, they could have their rigged elections. But then if we actually did a tally afterwards, or did a score afterwards where everyone says I voted this guy, I voted that guy, blah, 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 blah. We can actually see if they're lying or not.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And
it.
people-
But you can't do it if you're battling a census. And majority of your province or your district or whatever didn't show up to the ballot.
It's still not that hard. It's any citizen could be like, okay, who did you vote for? All you got to do is go to this website, and as part of your civic duty.
No, that's
to make
what I'm
sure
saying.
that
I agree with you. I agree with you. What I'm saying is that if you don't go out and vote and you don't share that view, then it makes it that much harder to be able to prove any type of corruption through means like you're saying.
If you don't vote, you don't vote. But then, like, whoever gets elected, whether the elections be rigged or not, whoever gets elected, you don't have a fucking say at that point. Nope. You voided your right in order to make a deal out of it. Like, I fucking hate Trudeau now, but guess what? I didn't vote then, so I can't sit there and, like, hate on every single person who voted for Trudeau. I hate the guy. I'm not too happy about the decision after everything he's done, but even people who voted for him feel the same way. And you know what? He's enough motivation to make me want to go out and actually vote for elections now. And so is Notley. Kathleen Wynne, they all made me want to vote because it's like, you guys are fucking shitty ass people.
Hey, look at that! You found the silver lining. You found something good that they did. That they motivated you to go out and do your duty.
Yeah.
Well, even like okay, so I'm 29 years old now, and I noticed that like a lot of younger people don't vote, and I don't blame them because like you step into this adult world, and it's like now it's your responsibility to vote. Your vote counts, and you have all this privilege or all these rights and everything handed to you, and you're like, well, I don't want to fuck things up. I'll leave it to the professionals who have been doing this for years, because I honestly don't know who the fuck I'm voting for, what the fuck is going on, or anything. So I want to avoid that, that I don't want the responsibility for that shit, which I understand. But by the time you're about 25 or so, you should start having a concept of who's doing what, this or that, and at some point you're gonna go out and you're gonna vote, because it's like you can't agree or deal with what's happening around you. That's a good time to start. It's a good time to start voting. It's good motivation. If your politicians aren't doing you good, then you need to do something about it. So whether it be vote for anyone else, just go out and do it. You might fuck it up, okay? No one's going to hate on you for doing that. Even my sister voted for Trudeau, and she's like, well, fuck me. She's like, I feel like an idiot. And I'm like, well, I didn't vote, so I feel like even more of an idiot. But
I voted for Obama in his first term.
Like, we all make mistakes, but that's how you start learning. And people think it's like you don't have to pay attention to politics, and politics is all bullshit and everything. But when you look into it, it's not for politicians. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for everyone else. Ellie's doing it for people's grandchildren. I go out for people like Ellie, and it's not just the government, and it's not just you. It's everyone else you have to think about. If we're going to have conservative in Alberta and we're going to have a conservative government in Ontario, I don't even think it's a good idea to have a conservative federal government, because it's too much power in one place.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's kind of what we're stuck in the handicap at this point.
Well, see, the biggest thing that, like, as you were saying, like Ellie does it for the grandkids and the future. You do it for people like Ellie, like down here in the United States. I do it for Americans. I do it for Americans because I want a country that I can be proud of. And the biggest thing that we got to remember is these idiots that we vote in, whether they're conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, whatever side of the aisle they want to sit on, they work for us.
Exactly. Government means for the people, by the people.
Yeah, we don't work for them. They work for us. And it's time that the peoples of Canada and the people of the United States start reminding these government bodies of that fact, that you work for us. We're the bosses, not you.
We are the many, they are the few,
Yeah, well, we don't need to go in and start overtaking governments. That's right now, like, we've got so many, like ignorant people towards politics because they're not aware of the power over politics that they have. You know, I have like 40, 50-year-old people telling me that my vote is useless and I shouldn't even go voting. So imagine my generation is hearing that from like older generations, like it's not going to make a difference what you do, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? It is going to make a fucking difference what you do. Once you start doing it and all your friends start doing it and everybody else starts doing it, guess what? You got the power back. We've got the power back. We get the say. Not these 40-year-olds that tell us, don't go vote. Meanwhile, they're going to vote and they're picking who they want and then telling us not to go vote so we don't get the chance to battle against them in the polls. They handicap the votes themselves. So people need to start being empowered about their position.
Well, that's exactly it. And everything in this world, you know, if you're unhappy about a situation or whatever, there are right ways and wrong ways to get your voice across. Missing a day of work and standing outside picketing is not the same as standing right in the middle of Congressional Congress's chamber and speaking your case to all the politicians, or I don't know what it is in Canada. You know, for us, it's the Senate and Congress and stuff of that nature. And you can get an audience. You could voice your opinion. Your voice itself may fall on deaf ears, but if enough people go and do that, they'll realize how outnumbered they are. And again, just like we were talking about before, if you're not happy with your prime minister, or you're not happy with your president, there's a simple way of fixing that. Every 4 years or whatever, at least down here in the United States, it's 4 years. There's an election. You don't like who's president? Change it.
Yep.
Exactly. And like it's so funny too that like my generation's actually the millennial generation. So we're being told that we're shit, we're good for nothing, we don't vote, all we do is cry about everything, blah 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 blah. Even people my age are saying that, but they're the millennial generation that they don't realize that they're talking about. Here's a funny thing about the millennial generation. And this is what every kid needs to hear right now who's of voting age. The millennial generation from 1980 to 1994, we have a bigger population than the baby boomers do. We have like the biggest population out of all the generations, but we're being told that we're insignificant and useless.
On behalf of Generation X, you're welcome.
Yeah, you guys are like the big brother.
We were horny and we gave you power and you fucked it up.
we're being told that we have no power. And we're like being crippled. And like in all reality, we've got the biggest population. If we all decided that we're all voting for one party, they're winning. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. That's how much power we have. That's why we're being handicapped and being told how useless and insignificant we are. Because we're a huge threat to like all these corporations, all these organizations, all politicians. Because we've got the numbers.
Okay, so do you see what they're doing here? Like the millennials, the baby boomers, the Generation X, and all this. It's all segregation. It's all separation. They want everyone to feel that segregation. Okay, we're all Canadians, or over there, you guys are all Americans. It shouldn't matter what age or when you were born or whatever. You are a citizen of the country, and if you're over 18, you can vote. And they want you to feel you have no power. They want you to feel helpless, okay? And don't fall into that. Everyone can make change. And the only way we can make change is to unify and say, look, we're not any different. Old people, young people, we all bleed when we're cut, and we all bruise when we're punched in the face. So basically, there's no difference. We're just Canadians and or Americans on the other side of the border. Stop letting them segregate you, because that's the tactic. That's a globalist tactic, and it's actually working. That's the sad part of it. Okay, they're splitting us all up and compartmentalizing us all. We are just people. We are the people.
She's not wrong too, because since the hippie movement of the 60s, we have been separated and segregated in generational groups: the baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, Zillennials, Generation Z. I think we're at now. And guess what? Generation Z is hearing the exact same thing that Zillennials heard, and Zillennials heard the exact same thing that Millennials heard, and you guys have heard all the same shit that Gen X heard. Because I grew up hearing it my whole entire life. We were the worst generation. We were going to be the worst generation that has ever existed on this planet. Till the Millennials came around. Then you were the worst. Then you guys got replaced by the next generation. Then you guys, then
and
that
they
generation.
still call them Millennials. And and right now, like, my baby is going to be born in Generation Alpha. So I can't even imagine. Yeah, I can't even imagine how much differences there's going to be between my ones that are almost 10 years old and the one I'm about to have, because they're whole different generations now, which is good, because it's like, well, you know what? When they start talking shit about your younger brother, you guys stand up for him because you guys know better. It's ridiculous how much they just separate people and, oh, you're young and you're dumb. Well, why don't you sit there and be like, look, you're young, you're dumb, now time to educate you.
well, think about it. It's just like rearing a child, and I hate using the populace of a country in the same mindset, but you know, there's only so many times you could be told that you're stupid, you're worthless, you're nobody before you start believing it. And that's exactly what they're doing to these generations a slice at a time. They're telling each and every one of us that we're worthless, we're useless, we're the worst generation that had ever existed, we're never going to amount to anything, you know, blah blah blah. And each and every generation down the line is buying into that story more and more and more.
Yeah, then you've got people like me who are like, you know what? Enough of this shit. This is what's happening, blah, 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 blah. And all the people my age, all the millennials, the so hated millennials, guess what? Time to empower you guys. Wake the fuck up. And we get the few people like me that are honestly there like every day campaigning, oh, millennials this, millennials that. Why are you talking shit about millennials, first off? You're one of them. And the people you're making fun of are under 18, and you're a full grown-ass adult.
I know who you're talking about.
Everybody.
I know someone in particular you're talking about. I won't mention any names.
Why not?
Because I'm trying to be nice.
When are we ever nice on this show?
I'm trying to be nice the same way I was nice about when I was talking to Elle earlier about the other trans person that we used to associate with.
Yeah, well, I triple dog dare you. What's name?
Yeah, I can't do that. I still try to have this company have some form of reputation.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
That's it. Yeah.
We've been on air for 2 hours now.
Yes, we have.
Any last comments from you guys? Any last
Come on, Canada, follow
Trudeau sucks.
Come on, Canada, follow the example of your bastard stepchild down south. Put in somebody with balls and get your country back.
That's it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, and you know what? The election polls should be in now for Alberta. I'm going to check if those are in right now, and we could finish the show off with that. Alberta election polls. I'm so curious. Like, we know who won, but who won? Oh, where is it?
Don't get too cocky now. Remember, Hillary thought she won days before the tallies were finished.
Oh, what happened? Polls closed. Early results expected soon. What? They're not even in yet.
They're still counting.
Yeah. Damn it.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. We're almost there. I'll have it posted after with...
Hey, don't forget, we also are bringing back Realm of the Mist breaking news. So, I mean, you could always give a quick news clip on the results of the Canadian elections.
Yeah, I'm still reading. It's got to be in here somewhere.
Once they're finalized. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world if we don't make it on this podcast with it.
No, it would have been great, though.
It would have. It just gave
Oh,
me a
well.
cheap plug for breaking news to return.
I don't even have makeup on or anything. I'll have to put on a mask and be like, breaking news. I'll put on my anonymous mask and do that.
We are Canadians.
Right? I actually have a Confederate flag somewhere too. If that make things even weirder.
It's pretty sad when our neighbors up north are less offended by the Southern Confederate battle flag than the idiots here in the United States.
At this point in time, it doesn't even mean what it used to mean. So
it never meant what it used to mean. It was a succession from the government of the United States. It is a heritage battle flag, which was based off of the state flag of Georgia.
Well, there you go.
It was never a symbol of hate. Okay, yes, the Southerners were fighting because they wanted to keep their slaves and everything else, and that's why they wanted to secede from the United States and create their own independent country or government separate from what the United States stood for. That was the purpose of the Civil War. That's what that flag stands for. Heritage, not hate.
Well, there you go. It's been said.
And this is coming from a Northerner.
Well, there we go. Well, thanks everyone for joining me tonight. Thank you, Ellie, very much.
Thanks for having me.
Ellie's on Ellie's Place on YouTube. Is there anywhere else people can find you?
Yeah, Ellie's Place on Facebook, Ellie's Place on MeWe, Ellie's Place on Gab. Actually, on MeWe, I'm just Ellie Rossetti, but I'm pretty much branched out everywhere, so you can always find Ellie's Place somewhere.
Well, I'll tag you in this video, and then you can share it to Ellie's Place too. So
Sure.
People can track that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially female.
I'm mostly on YouTube. That's where I'm most popular.
Yeah, you're actually doing really good. When I first started following Ellie about 3 months ago, you had like 300 viewers, and now you've got 1,600 in 3 months.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. Yeah. Chris, what about you?
Well, you can find me anywhere there's the Realm of the Mist icon. Of course, Mondays, we will be returning this coming Monday with Realm of the Mist podcast. We took a couple weeks off just to be able to showcase some of the other shows, and there was some things going on in the company that needed to be handled, but we will return this Monday. And, of course, don't forget, tomorrow night, I will be joining my host, John Mark Tully, as we talk more Star Wars stuff on War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast.
Perfect. I'll be back Monday for Realm of the Mist as well. Next Tuesday, it had to be said with Venus, and next Thursday, we're having a reboot debut of the Tinfoil Hat Society.
I want to join you.
Oh, yes. I told you, Chris, everyone's going to love this stuff once it gets going. You can find me on Facebook, Venus Chan, or Solar Nova, depending on if I'm banned that week for something I said or something I posted. Usually sexual content, which nudity, which I beg to differ, and I argue these bans quite often. But you can find me there. Instagram is Venus Uncensored, or you can email me at venusuncensored@gmail.com.
Yeah, well, the nudity and the political points of view, that's why we have a website.
Yeah.
Can't get banned from there. I fucking monitor it, and I don't give a shit what goes up.
Catch me now, coppers.
That's it. Catch me outside. How about that?
Right?
I really want to thank you for having me on, though. It's been a really blast coming on.
It was a pleasure having you.
Yes, I'm honored. Thank you.
No problem. I better sign off. I got to go do this thing with the med dogs and the medication before I get eaten. But I will. I'll definitely catch it. You let me know when you're doing that reboot of the
Tinfoil Hat Society.
Tinfoil Hat. Yeah, I'm interested. I'll have my hat ready.
There you go.
Perfect.
Anyway, guys, I will see you. Talk to you soon.
All right, keep in touch.
Okay, ciao.
Have a good
Goodbye.
night. And guys, thank you very much for joining It Had to Be Said with Venus, and we will catch you next week with more craziness from Venus.
Good night, everybody.
Why didn't the Three Little Pigs go in for some kind of flat share scheme?
Does Jesus get to choose which wine he turns it into?
Why don't Sims have the upper body strength to climb out of a swimming pool?
And does everybody really want to be a cat.
I'm Will Baker.
And I'm Alex Prescott.
And if you're the type of person that overthinks these deep philosophical questions, then Think to the Brink is the podcast for you.
From Disney characters to song lyrics, debates to social etiquette, tune in every week for your dose of paralysis by analysis.
All topic suggestions are welcome. If you can think it, we can overthink it. Think to the Brink. Available on all podcast platforms.
Hey everyone, this is John Tolley, inviting you to check out War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Each week, me and my co-host Christopher Stolley discuss news and theories surrounding one of the largest movie franchises in the world. So join us every Wednesday at 8 Eastern as we travel to the galaxy far, far away, right here on Anchor FM and wherever fine podcasts are heard.
You know, when you need CBD, vape juice, or a new mod, go to Vape Scorpion. 10859 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 1116. They are formerly known as East Coast Vapor. They have all your needs, all the equipment, all the juice. And hey, while you're there, sit down, enjoy a beer, your own, and just hang out with a bunch of cool people. So guys, if you really need your next vape machine, or maybe just want to try a locally made juice, make sure you hit up Vape Scorpion. That's 1085 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19116. Or give a call to 215-464-8273. Oh yeah, and make sure you let them know that Realm of the Mist Entertainment sent you.
He said that she said, how dare you say that? That's offensive. Well, someone's gotta say it. It had to be said with Venus. Catch the live show Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the recordings at any time. Guest shows weekly. Listener, beware. Mature content, sexual content, trigger warning. Do you say it?
Hi, my name's Chris. I'm here to tell you about Realm of the Mist podcast. Realm of the Mist, all the entertainment things from movies, music, books, comic books, and many, many other forms of entertainment, as well as politics, current events, and just general humor and having a good time. If you're looking for a podcast that is right up your alley, look no further than Realm of the Mist podcast here on Anchor.fm or where fine podcasts can be heard.
Hi, this is Dave from the Comic Collection at 83 Bustleton Pike in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Our phone number is 215-357-3332. We are right next to Northeast Philadelphia. We have action figures, gaming, statues, albums, and CDs, graphic novels, other knickknacks, and, of course, comics. Established in 1985, we are your go-to store. Come by and say hello. And say that the guys from Radiocast FM Radio sent you. The address again is 83 Bustleton Pike, Feasterville, Pennsylvania, or call 215-357-3332.
Three-eyed turtle? Is that all right?
What the fuck is a three-eyed turtle?
Who wants a mustache ride?
Are you tired of the same old podcasts with no humor? Well, join us for After Hours, where everything is funny, at least to us, on Anchor.fm and where quality podcasts are heard.
How the fuck did we get on this?
I don't know.
FCC started this shit. It's their fucking fault.
Hey everyone, this is Dak.
This is Liam.
And this is White People Shit.
We are a bi-weekly podcast.
Whoa. Maybe you're bi-week. I'm straight and strong.
It means twice a week, you douche.
Oh. Yeah, listen to us twice a week. On White People Wednesdays, we talk about gay stuff, zombies, superhero sex positions.
And on Featured Peep Fridays, we interview the Featured Peep of the Week.
Yeah, like a fucking fur.
Just search WPS Podcast and look for the white dude in red pajamas.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else.
We believe in equal opportunity humor, where things can be made of. Feelings get hurt, and you're offended. No, wait.